occasionally, but very wholeheartedly and like that. And well, I've practiced for a while. I relish much more when it's slower, but still there's a part of me that says, the acharyas always mention about the number, that go beyond this number. So there's something esoteric, of course.
There's something esoteric, and there's also, it has to do with the difference between regulated and spontaneous devotional service. Okay, for one thing, if you have taken a vow to do a certain regulated devotional service, that means that to do spontaneous devotional service, you have to surpass that vow. See? Because vow by nature is part of Vaidhi Bhakti. I'm going to do 16 rounds every day, or 32, or 64, or whatever it is. Then, if you do more than that, then you automatically are in the realm of spontaneous devotional service. Another point is that 64 rounds is considered the normal, standard number of rounds, because 64 rounds takes about 8 hours. Some people claim to be able to chant 64 rounds in 6 hours, but I don't know how they do it. They must be chanting awfully fast. I can't hear nicely if I have to chant too fast. For me, it used to take, 9, even 10 hours to chant 64 rounds. But then I'd be chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You know, really relishing the sound vibration and the mood and the deep feeling of the holy name and my relationship with Krishna. Or I'd be contemplating, like there's a nice book by Srila Rupa Goswami, which is a compilation of many, many shlokas. And some of them, many of them are traditional, some of them are original, some are from Shastra, some the author is unknown. And the reason he compiled this was that the Goswamis would sit and they would chant all night. And they would relish one of these shlokas for, at least one round. So it's not that you have to only just chant and hear. You can also think of Krishna's pastimes. Prabhupada one time said you can also think of your service. You can pray to Krishna. You can be open to Krishna's inspiration. Like Krishna, how can I improve my service? How can I, how can I do this or that? Give me guidance on my service, like that. Now, Krishna is so intelligent. I mean, he'll just give you the best advice, But in the background, or, while you're doing this, you can be chanting the holy name. It's all right, So, one time, I remember, what was it? Prabhupada was doing something. He was chanting and he was reading something. And a devotee said, Prabhupada, why are you chanting and reading at the same time? And Prabhupada said, I can do two things at once. Actually he could probably do more than that. More than two things at once. So, there's no problem with chanting externally and then internally contemplating on some pastimes or on some advanced aspects of devotional service. That's actually very nice, devotional service. Spontaneous. So there's regulated and there's spontaneous. So sometimes devotees will perform regulated devotional activities externally and spontaneous devotional activities internally. And there's no problem with that, if you have enough brain cells.
You develop those by doing service.
Yes.
Broadcasting is one.
Right, little brain cells.
Yeah, isn't it? When you're broadcasting, oh man, it's like...
Get muscles on your brain cells, huh? you see what that's where I'm up here, I'm watching everybody, I'm watching everything that's going on, you know. Because I'm responsible. I'm holding the bag, you know. I'm like, it's my name on the podcast or whatever. So I have to be very alert all the time. So sometimes I'll be chanting and there'll be other stuff going on in the room. It's very distracting. Anyway, now you know.
When a devotee is in the beginning platform, starting and like that, his chanting is completely focused on numbers and finishing like regulated, and even if there's no feeling of love towards Krishna, a neophyte will keep chanting what I mean,
yeah,
without at all cost.
Well, how do you develop that love for Krishna?
Exactly.
You see,
in that way.
In Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna says, there's five instructions that Krishna gives. He says, just love me with all your heart and surrender unto me and you know, give everything to me. And if you can't do that, then perform the regulated principles of Vaidhi Bhakti, regulated devotional service. Huh? And if you can't do that, then just try to work for me. And if you can't do that, well, just try to be self-situated. You see. What he really wants is our love. So if it's possible for you to just love Krishna, that's it. That's Krishna consciousness. That's what Krishna wants. If you can love Krishna, if you can find it in your heart to love Krishna, well then that's it. You don't have to go through all the regulated devotional service. I mean, it's nice if you know those things too, but it's that try to understand the levels on the path. Huh? So if you're capable of love and you can direct your love towards Krishna, that's it. That's devotional service. But if you can't do that, how do you get to that point? Well, by desiring to do it. Remember that quotation from Nectar of Devotion, that right at the end of chapter 19, Srila Rupa Goswami says that the means to developing this exalted love of Krishna is to have a very strong desire to attain it. That's the means, you know. So how do you develop that desire? By following the regulative principles of devotional service.
In general terms, by doing an analysis, when I see, for example, Mother Insi's approach, that seems like more natural, and it has been very, very good. I mean, in the time she has been exercising and like that, it seems like she has made a lot of progress. Compared to many devotees that can spend a lot of time.
She's in comparatively good shape compared to people who have been through traumatic experiences like a Western education or being in ISKCON for some time or something like that, where they're exposed to extreme psychopathic individuals and situations. So the wounds, the psychic wounds from this kind of experience take a long time to heal. And you have to go through some healing process. Otherwise, you can't make any advancement in devotional service after that, because every time you think of devotional service, you think of all this other nonsense that comes with it, you see, in most environments. That's why we are very careful to create an environment that doesn't have those kind of things, those crazy-making things. Because then, as soon as we accept those kind of things, then we won't be able to make any further advancement. So when a person is emotionally healthy, when they're complete, they can love. So they just love Krishna. Oh, okay. You know, it's easy, it's simple, it's very direct. But if you can't do that, then you have to follow this complicated process. You have to chant until your chanting is offenseless. And then once your chanting is offenseless, you could just chant one name a day, and that's enough, you know. Every time you think of Krishna, every time you see something, you think, oh, that's Krishna's. You know, oh, these devotees, they're all Krishnas. You know, they remind you, everything you see, everything you do reminds you of Krishna. You can't forget Krishna even for a moment. In the beginning, you can't remember Krishna even for a moment. So there's a long road of purification and inner development that goes from not being able to remember Krishna to not being able to forget Krishna. And that's the path of devotional service. And we've quoted that verse, Adau Shraddha, so many times. Those are the stages. It's okay? Yeah.
Question from Amit. Is it necessary to chant all at once or take breaks in between and chant throughout the day?
You can take breaks. There's no problem with that. Srila Prabhupada